Today I'll be sharing the 5 biggest mistakes most beginners make when painting abstract and 5 pro tips that you can apply from today to make your painting stand out. Plus a bonus tip at the end you won't want to miss. Mistake number 1 that I see a lot of beginners make is using every colour you own. Now when you get a new pack of acrylic paints, it's very easy and very tempting to want to use all of the colours on a painting, but the realistic truth of that is that the painting is going to end up looking very muddy when you mix it all together because you haven't thought out the colour palette and you don't actually know if those colours are going to complement each other, and you end up with a painting where the colours do not really stand out and they kind of just all look like a big pile of mud. Mistake number 2 is doing too much. This is a really easy mistake that anyone can make, and it takes a lot of practice to know when to stop. It is very easy to get carried away when you're painting. You've got your brush and your paints and you just feel like you can keep painting and painting because it's abstract and there's really no right or wrong when it comes to it. And whilst yes, that is actually true, that abstract there is no right or wrong, there is definitely something as doing too much and your painting just becoming a big ball of mess. Another mistake that I see so often is having no depth in your painting. It looks very flat, and this can be due to the fact that you use a shade of color but you don't change the tone or the value. So when you take a paint straight out of the tube and just add it straight to your canvas, and then you don't change the value or the tone, meaning the shade of pink or blue or green that you're using, there is only one shade of there on the canvas, and that basically makes it look flat and gives no depth to the painting. Mistake number 4 is one that we are all guilty of, and that is not taking any breaks. It is so easy to just keep painting and painting without stepping away, but it is actually so important to stop in between and to step away and decide whether you have done something wrong or is there something that you like or something that needs to be added. And it also helps you understand where you need to stop, because sometimes you can be painting and you're in that zone and you don't actually realize that you're continuing to do something that you shouldn't, and actually taking those breaks and stepping away will allow you to understand and assess. Mistake number 5 is not thinking of your composition. Now, yes, with an abstract painting, the composition rules don't really apply, but composition still does play a role with abstract, because if you were just to cover the whole entire painting with the same strokes over and over, it doesn't amount to anything and it just looks very plain and dull. My top 5 pro tips, starting off with tip number 1, which is selecting your color palette before you begin painting. Taking a few minutes just to decide which colors you actually want to put on the canvas is going to save you so much time and also make the painting process so much more enjoyable. You can choose and select colors, you can try them on a piece of paper to test them out and see how well the colors are going to blend together. A limited palette of 3 to 5 colors is really going to allow you to explore those colors and not overwhelm your canvas with so many different colors of the rainbow, and then when you blend them together or mix them around, they are going to complement each other and blend well instead of becoming a big muddle. Tip number 2 is to layer, layer and layer. Do not underestimate the power of layering. Take your time. Acrylic is a fast drying medium, which means that you don't usually have a lot of time to do everything that you want in the first layer, and usually just doing one layer makes the painting look flat, doesn't give a lot of depth, and the painting doesn't look as interesting, particularly when it comes to abstract. So when you're painting an abstract painting, put down your base. When you've done your base, go again and maybe do another base or do something else on top, and continue to build that layer until you feel like something is building and slowly coming together, and you'll know when it feels right to continue and when it feels right to stop. Which brings us to tip number 3, which is less is more. Abstract art has this magical ability to be able to paint only a few things onto a canvas and allow the viewer or yourself to look at the painting, and there is so much suggested in it. You could be painting a few splodges of blue and somehow someone is going to be seeing an ocean or a storm or a thunderstorm going on in the painting. And this is why I really try and embrace the less is more approach, because the less you have going on in your canvas, the more that is going to be suggested to the viewer. Like with this painting that I'm currently doing now, I'm really taking my time and applying the strokes slowly by slowly, because I really don't want to go over that line of doing too much and painting too much. The less I'm actually going to be putting on, the more that is going to be left to the imagination. So I'm really carefully and gently using really soft strokes, because I want there to be depth, I want there to be layers, but I also want there to be a lot of space left for the imagination. Tip number 4 is to step back and assess. Just like I mentioned in the mistakes in the beginning, something that a lot of people do is that they do not take breaks in between. A tip that you must do and apply to your abstract work is to step back and look at your painting. Take breaks. Go get yourself a drink. Just stop for a minute, maybe walk out the room and walk back in, but you need to stop, take a break, come back in and reassess. Is there something missing? Is there something that needs to be worked on? Is there maybe a color that you can mix with the limited color palette that you have that could maybe add something interesting. Abstract art is all about taking time and going in steps. I personally like to take breaks in between each layer. Everything that I do is slightly calculated because I'm thinking about what the outcome is going to be of that step. And I want to make sure that as I'm going through that process, I'm not going to be doing something that I'm going to possibly regret. When you take time, you are less likely to end up doing something that you're not happy with, because each step you're actually taking the time to think and process and look at your painting and observe the composition, the colors, the harmony of the painting, and it gives you that moment to just decide before you actually put the brush down to the canvas. Tip number 5 is the power of negative space. I feel like this one is really not spoken about enough in the art world, but it is such an important one, and it is a tip that I have come to love and I value it so much now as an artist. All negative space is essentially, it's just a piece or a part that is in your painting that has nothing on there. So it could just be a smooth background or a plain color, or even just leaving some white in your canvas. This really does so much for your painting. You're leaving a part of your painting that has nothing on there, and essentially what it does is it makes other parts of your painting stand out more, because it's not all busy and it's not all full. It allows those places where you have put some strokes or some texture or some color to stand out more, and it really makes such a difference to the overall end result of your painting. The bonus tip is using different tools and brushes. Now, this is something that a lot of people overlook, but it makes a huge difference, especially in abstract art. Using different shape brushes like a flat brush or a dagger brush or a round brush just gives your painting different shapes, and when you put down the strokes, not everything is going to look the same, and will make the final result of your painting look interesting, because it is not just one shape that is being applied over and over again in different colors. In the first painting where I showed you all of the typical mistakes beginners make, I only used one brush. This made the painting look flat, not interesting, and just boring overall in its final result. However, in this second painting, I'm using a filbert brush, a dagger brush, I'll even be using a palette knife, and this makes a big difference because the painting has movement and there are different sizes and different colors happening that all complement each other. Those are my 6 pro tips to take your abstract paintings to another level. So I hope you go and try them out and let me know how you get on. If you found today's video helpful and valuable, please don't forget to subscribe, give this video a like, and let me know in the comments which tip you found to be the most helpful.